Welcome back to The Legal Brief, the show where we crush the various legal myths and misinformation surrounding various areas of the gun world. I'm your host, Adam Kraut, and if you haven't already voted in the NRA Board of Directors elections, go vote. If you aren't sure how to vote, be sure to check out the video I did on that. And remember, Kraut for NRA. Today we're talking about a paper that recently caught everyone's attention, the leaked ATF Whitepaper.
Kinetic Development Group doesn't just make parts for the tactical or military guy. They make parts for everyone, whether you're a hunter, a competition shooter, or a standard supporter of the second, they have something for you. Kinetic Development Group. When you get it, it clicks. To learn more, go to kineticdg.com.
Recently, an internal memo from the Associate Deputy Director of ATF, number 2 in charge, Ronald Turk, hit the internet and took off like wildfire. In it, Deputy Director Turk outlines options to reduce or modify firearms regulations. After reading the paper, I have to admit, I'm actually kind of impressed. Given the timing of it on Inauguration Day and point number 15 in the document, the need for an ATF confirmed director, one has to wonder, is this actually a job application to the Trump administration? Either way, there's several points that Deputy Director Turk makes which are refreshing to see from an ATF official. One of the biggest ones that popped right off the page was the desire to reissue a study into the sporting purposes exemption. He explains, quote, ATF could re-examine its almost 20-year-old study to bring it up to date with the sports shooting landscape of today, which is vastly different from what it was years ago, end quote. Then goes on to explain the expansion of shooting sports such as USPSA and the rise of others such as 3-gun. It's almost as if he read my comment in opposition to ATF's proposed notice of rulemaking to reclassify armor-piercing ammunition, where I made a lot of those points. Hi, ATF! I know you're watching! The current ban on the importation of certain firearms dates back to a study that ATF did in the late 90s. In that study, the ATF declared that, quote, while some may consider practical shooting a sport, by its very nature, it is closer to police/combat style competition and is not comparable to the more traditional types of sports, such as hunting and organized competitive shooting. Therefore, we are not convinced that practical shooting does, in fact, constitute a sporting purpose under Section 925D3, end quote. It's definitely time that ATF revisit the sporting purposes exemption. He also suggests that ATF create a database for rulings that it has issued. This would be a welcome change as the lack of a centralized database has caused a lot of anguish within the firearms community. But it is a government agency, so that might be expecting a little too much. However, he does not go as far as saying that all the rulings would be available to the public, only open rulings. At the very least, it would allow ATF to become more consistent in its rulings by being able to search through its own previous opinions. Although, it would be great to have an entirely searchable open database for people like us. Deputy Director Turk also points out that the ATF should support the removal of silencers from the National Firearms Act, or NFA, because the change in public support for such indicates that the reason for their inclusion in the NFA is archaic and the reluctance to remove them should be reevaluated. He provides some statistics that you may find useful when calling your representatives to ask for their support of the Hearing Protection Act. He also points out that the revision to the definition of a silencer would be important. As you may remember from looking at the definitions from the episode I did on the NFA, a silencer is not only defined as the silencer itself, but any combination of silencer parts and any part that is intended only for use in a silencer. And before you ask, we will be doing an update on the Hearing Protection Act shortly. He also points to a laundry list of regulations that are obsolete or have obsolete provisions which should be removed from the federal regulations. Other provisions you may find interesting include the reimportation of certain surplus firearms from overseas, firearm stabilizing braces, and armor-piercing ammunition. As you may have guessed, the paper is not the official position of ATF. I wouldn't hold your breath for any of these changes to occur overnight. It's just one man's opinion that wasn't intended for public consumption. At least that's what the paper says. At the very least, it does shed some light into what some employees at ATF are thinking. In this case, it happens to be the number 2 man at ATF. As always, we'll need congressional action to change the actual law. So you may want to pick up the phone and encourage your representatives to support pro-gun legislation. I know I sound like a broken record when I say that, but this is the way to effect change right now. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding of what the white paper is and what it actually means. What do you think of the proposed changes that Deputy Director Turk makes in the paper? Are you excited about it? Do you think it'll happen? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys like this episode, you know what to do. Hit that like button and share it around with your friends. Have a question you want answered on the show? Head on over to the Legal Brief section on theguncollective.com. Be sure to check out my website, adamkraut.com, for more information on my quest to serve you on the NRA Board of Directors. And don't forget to like The Gun Collective on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Full30, Snapchat, and wherever else you can catch us on social media. And as always, thanks for watching.
The shirts worn in today's episode of The Legal Brief have been provided by Patriot Patch. Click the link in the description to learn more.